started late, and
There you go.
yeah. So Corey calls me and says, "Hey, I got a hold of this guy, Jeremy, and we could do a training." And then through that conversation, I'm on one side of the conversation. Corey and Jeremy are texting back and forth to each other, and he says, "Well, I'm in Tom's organization, Miss under Miss Aaron and Shar." And then I put two and two together on that call. And this was after we had already played his video, been edifying him all over the place how good it was, and we talked about it for a whole hour yesterday without him. And so I want to give some real credit here to Miss Aaron and Miss Shar, who are always there helping and serving their teams. And we surely, me and Corey both go, well, we didn't mean to step past anybody to get him on here this morning, and we want to give credit where credit is due because those ladies are awesome, and we appreciate it. And then I can't help it, Lonnie, but we love your dad. Your dad is our hero, and
He's
so
pretty slick.
yeah. So this team would not be where it is today without Steve Walsh. And then I talked to Steve yesterday just to get the scoop, and he said that Lonnie's pretty awesome too. So this is the first time that me and Lonnie's met in person too. Is that correct, Lonnie?
Yep, first time.
Yep. But your dad spoke really highly, of course. But I hope we don't just get credit from your parents. I hope we.
Yeah,
Well, his dad said he's cool.
yeah, he's cool. He can vouch for me.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what he said. But really, literally, without your family, this team no way would be 7,000 people strong. It is every single day. Me and him were talking at 3 in the morning, many times. When he went on that week vacation to try to get a vacation, he still took my calls because we were in such momentum mode at the beginning. So I just want to give both Jeremy and Lonnie a lot of kudos for being on here. Want to give Aaron and Shar a lot of kudos for being on here. And then want to give Corey a lot of kudos for reaching out and putting this whole deal together. So, without further ado, Corey, I know you have some things on your mind about the platform and about the other things. Why don't I let you subject introduce and maybe start these guys off and get the ball rolling?
Sure. Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate that. And yeah, thank you for to Aaron and Shar, who I love. I've known since we started this little journey on the trainings and the Ranger journey, and we've had some great conversations and just love her so much. And getting excited to meet Aaron as well because I have not met Aaron yet, but thank you, Aaron, for bringing in Jeremy. And what a day, guys! What a day! This with everything going on, and text it and the WhatsApp groups, the call Bobby had on Tuesday, and things are just. I love it. I saw what Jeremy was doing. First, I saw Jeremy's video, and I'm like, this guy is he's a guy after my own heart because Jeremy is going back to the grassroots of things and the way I'm come from a crypto background, right? I've been in crypto for 13 years. And when Jeremy talks about getting involved in social media and helping our social medias grow, particularly our X, and I loved the first time I heard him say shilling, I was like, I got the goosebumps because um, there is a whole nother side of this, and Jeremy, I'm gonna pass it to you in a second. But I just met Lonnie as well. Lonnie, love your dad as well. Excited to get to chat with you today. But yeah, we I used to do a lot of social media for a lot of different companies and graphic design and a lot of shilling as well. Shilling is building up a brand or a company and getting out there on social media and hyping it up and that's what the crypto companies do, crypto projects do. So Jeremy, with that, I'm going to lead into you and just ask you just to start it off. This is going to be casual, guys. We'll get to some, Lonnie and I literally met yesterday just through Telegram, and I know his background is huge into crypto and trading, and so is Jeremy's. Um, but we'll get into some like maybe some Pioneer stuff, which I know you guys are excited for. But ultimately, I'd like to take it to Jeremy. So, Jeremy, how did you? Let's just hear from you. How did you get started in Texas, and what was your view of Texas coming in, and kind of where you are now with everything?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Thank you, Thomas, and thank you for Corey. And I see Aaron's here, so big thanks to Aaron. I got to tell you guys, Aaron is the reason I'm here. I've known Aaron for a couple years, 3 years maybe.
And my
We were
apologies for saying the wrong name. I had Renee on my mind for some reason, and I just wanted to fix that real quick. And I am sorry. I love that gal. So let's
I
go.
was wondering who Renee was, but I was just going with it. I'm like, okay,
He
all
calls
right.
me Chuck all the time, so.
I am so human. I am so human.
Well,
Okay.
Aaron is responsible for me being here, and I will drop another. I will not drop another name, but there was another person who you may know, Thomas, who presented this to me back in April, and she did a terrible job. She did not say what this project actually was, and I hope she never hears me say that because I do love her. But I immediately was like, no, like this is. I did all the other stuff. I said it's a scam. There's too many small wallet holders. Yada yada yada. The coin was like maybe 40 cents at the time. And I mean, I see these things all the time, and I definitely didn't want another MLM to be part of. And so I just, kind of pushed it aside. But I did kind of watch in the background some of the stuff that was happening. And Aaron started dropping stuff all summer. Aaron was dropping stuff. And this other person who I won't mention her name, she was dropping stuff. And I kept saying, no, 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 no. And back in October, I, through a strange series of events, I ended up reaching out to Aaron for some other stuff. And in the process, of course, I asked her, I was like, well, what's going on? Because we hadn't caught up for a while. And we caught up. It was a great call. And she said, you really need to look at Texit. And I was like, no, 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 no. I had all the same stories. And she's like, Jeremy, you really need to look at it. And so we talked a little bit about it. And I started looking at it. That was a Friday afternoon. By Monday morning, I was like, Aaron, I got to do this. Like, I'm all in. Like, this is it. Like, I'm going to change everything that I'm doing right now. Because I've been doing my trading thing for years. And on that Friday call with her, I was actually colluding with her to do some other stuff. And anyway, one thing led to the next. By Wednesday, I was all in. I'd maxed out the compensation by Friday evening, Saturday morning. And that was that. And every time, every call I've been on, every call with Bobby, every Thursday night call, I just see the vision more. I am embarrassed that I missed it. I feel like, oh my gosh, this is like, what if I had gone back to 2009 and missed Bitcoin a second time? I almost did it, but I didn't. I'm here. I may be late to the party, but I'm here. And then I got involved and I started seeing some of the voids that were here. I was pushing, don't want to say push. Had started another live stream called Building Blockchains that was actually for my business, for my main business. And we were in that for a couple of weeks. And I realized, you know what? The Texas community needs me more than this right now. I didn't have a lot of people on it yet. And so I told Aaron, I said, I'm just going to pause this until next year and I'm going to focus in on some of the stuff that Texas needs. And I really want to help build it. And yeah, so that's kind of how I got into it. And I met Lonny a week ago. I just noticed his name kept popping up on Telegram, and I just sent him a message, said, "Hey, let's talk trading." And then a bunch of people were complaining that things were going down, and I was like, "Why are y'all complaining? This makes no sense." And I kind of got sick of it, and I started spouting a bunch of stuff of y'all need to do your part with the grassroots. And I think this was last Monday. I don't know, by like 2 a.m., I started a group on Telegram and said, well, come over here and we'll get this thing started. And here we are a week later. We got a bunch of people. Started that YouTube channel on Sunday. You're sharing my videos, and some random lady, Renee's been pushing me. I don't know. That's my story right there.
I got a good chuckle. Way to go, Renee. She's going to be forever Renee now.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome, Jeremy. That's fantastic. And well, you've said I was looking at Thomas a couple of times when you said I think we all can relate to the story of we should have got in sooner. What that's like 99.9% of what people say after they're in, right? And so good to hear that story. Let's introduce Lonnie real quick, and then we'll kind of get into some meat of things. Lonnie, I'll let you introduce yourself, but I don't know. Obviously, everybody on here has probably heard of Steve Walsh and what he does. You see, he was on the call last time, and it's time for Lonnie to earn his fame now, right, Lonnie?
Yeah, my fame. My story will be pretty funny too, and kind of the same. I missed out too, even though my dad got us in pretty early to this project. We almost, well, at least I almost missed out a lot more than anything. We were at a dinner, and he was like, "Hey, I kind of know some of these guys, and they're talking about this Texacoin thing. Can you check it out? It's a cryptocurrency." And I was like, if it's not in the top 20, it's not worth even looking at. These things don't take off. And he's like, no, 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 I think this is a good one. I kind of like it. I kind of know the guy who's starting it and been following him, and we're talking, and I totally blew him off. Said it wasn't even what, not even worth it if it's not a top 20. And he goes a couple weeks later, he goes, "Merry Christmas, I got you one. Now you're in. You have to follow me." I was like, okay. So I was his part of that was a Christmas gift, I'm assuming, but also part of it was anytime that he called me for his question about crypto, because you know, I'm gonna say it was within 5 years he had a flip phone still, and so now he's trying to be a crypto guy. He was having to ask some questions and stuff. So all those 3 a.m. phone calls, I'm sure I got a little bit of those too, to help clarify what they were talking about or what was asking. And then he's all in, so he's doing research, and I'm getting text messages from him like, "Hey, so what does this mean? Because this is cool." I'm like, "Yep, no, that's cool. That's a good idea. That's a good idea." That was just over and over and over. And I'm sitting there like, man, why didn't I jump all in with him and take this, get this thing going? Because it got legs and it got traction and it took off running. So that was kind of funny how it was almost kind of a miss out too. But thank God my dad was sitting there and had a little bit more faith off the rip, because we got, I think so I got in last December. I think tomorrow is actually my one year, and then he was in November. So we've been around for a while, and I've been lingering in the background mostly, just kind of following, and then helping him whenever he had a question or thought or something, and following it, and man, my wallet keeps getting bigger. This thing's really cool. It ain't going nowhere. Oh, this thing's got legs. And then he said, "Hey, there's a bunch of people who don't understand the trading part. Can you answer some of these questions in Telegram?" So I had to go back and re-get my invite link because I didn't even have it activated on my new phone. And I hopped in October and just started kind of helping answer some questions, and then turned into, "Hey, can you make a video? Because I don't know what you're talking about." Explaining it's not enough. And then all of a sudden I'm making YouTube videos every day now, talking about whether it's TXC and how the market's moving, and how to use some of these exchanges. And all of a sudden now, the more I've been into it in the last 3-4 months has really opened my eyes up even more from watching from afar, and now watching from within. I'm just kicking myself the same as, how did I not just go all in from the rip?
Mhm. Yeah, that's amazing. That's I think there's and Thomas, I feel like you're going to point something else too, but I think there's like already there's several things that we can take out, like gold nuggets we can take out of what Jeremy said and Lonnie said, especially on the side of people that are actively referring or wanting to refer. There's always a story in something that you talk with somebody like, what are the pushbacks and what are the rebuttals that that we're getting early on is you've got two experienced people here in trading in crypto and seeing what's what. And there's pushback at first, right? Both Jeremy and Lonnie push back. And I think we can find that story in a lot of us is what we're experiencing out there with experienced crypto people and people that don't even know what crypto is. So you're getting pushback from two different ways here of the fear of crypto and this the stigma that it has brought with it years ago. And then you've got people that are like, if it's I approached somebody I approached a month ago was like, if it's not Bitcoin or Ethereum, I don't want to be involved with it. And that's kind of what you said. I hear it all the time. It's it's how do we break those barriers, and how do we get through to these people? Is it worth doing that? And you see, obviously, it is with what Aaron did with Jeremy. And so, Thomas, anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, you know, I just know we're going to get into some meat coming up here, and was wondering if we could kind of start that off with piggybacking off of the video from yesterday, and Jeremy, if you could maybe you know, just share you know, the main points of I believe that was your fourth one that you guys had done, and on that subject. But we know that it fits right in line with this week. That there's a lot of people freaking out just a little bit, and that we can be the answer to a lot of that. But anyways, if you could summarize, do whatever you want. But I say let's piggyback off that video. Then let's go into the Pionex thing. And Corey, I know that you've done a little bit more on that, so I'll have you jump right back at it. Okay.
Yeah, so you can ask any questions you want about it. Kind of what led me to it. Honestly, I got really, really upset with the community Tuesday night. I had a guy who was about to come in with a 9 pack, and he just had some questions that were honest and innocent questions. And I felt like I had already answered them. His wife had gone out and she got onto Chat GPT. And if you guys don't know how AI works, especially Chat GPT, it mirrors your question. So if you say, is Jesus real? It's going to say, yep, greatest person to ever walk the face of the earth. If you say, is Jesus a scam? It's going to say, there's a lot of people that think Jesus was a scam. And it's going to mirror what it believes that you want to hear. It's just the way that Chat GPT works. And so this guy's wife had gone and done that and basically got him from, hey, I'm going to come in with 9 pack on Tuesday after Thanksgiving to by Tuesday after Thanksgiving. And by the way, he had a list of people already. He had super, super influential. Like this was going to be a really, really good leg for me. And it was actually a recruit for one of my other girls. And she was going to get her first paycheck. So I was really excited to lock this one down for her and for us. And instead, it turned into damage control. And by Tuesday night, 5 o'clock, he says, hey, I'm really in. I just want to get this one question answered. I wish I could get this question to Bobby. And I said, well, come on the miners call with me. Let's ask the question. And you want to know what turned him off was not Bobby. What turned him off was all of you guys sitting in there and saying, Bobby, why did you lead us down a bad road? Why is the price going down? What are you going to do to fix this? And it just pissed me off. I was like, what the heck community would be so audacious to say that it's all Bobby's fault? Like, do they not understand what they bought into? So forgive me if I come on here and I'm preaching, but I was pissed because he calls me that night and he says, I'm out. He's like, the natives are restless. There's clearly something wrong. I'm going with my intuition on this. And I was really, really upset. Now, Erin, she corrected me. She said, you shouldn't have brought him to the miners only call. I said, well, you're probably right. But I had that much faith in the community up until that night. I had that much faith because I'd been on some of these calls and I was like, this community is incredible. Bobby is so transparent, which I think is a great asset. But here's what's happened in the process. What happens is people come out there, they air all their dirty laundry. And what I saw was the community was frankly uneducated on how crypto works and how the cycles work and really this whole liquidity issue. And that's what really got me irritated. I've built my own crypto coins as well. So I kind of know the tokenomics and I understand when I heard Bobby talk about some of his tokenomics the first time, I was like, yeah, it's pretty brilliant the way he's doing it. I really saw it. I got it from the inside. And then when I saw the way the community was reacting to it, I was like, oh crap, this is not good. And so I just kind of triggered some stuff in me. And that's what led to me getting onto the groups and kind of watching the dialogue back and forth and saying, this is a problem. You guys got to stop this. And then I said, hey, if there's going to be a leader, it's going to be me. I mean, if it's going to be, it's up to me, right? That's kind of my attitude. And so I put that group together and then I just was like, well, where should I start? And I thought I should start on how's crypto pricing work. And in the middle of there, my passion and my irritation all led to what's the truth about the value of Texas coin? What should you be expecting from it? And then, what about this path to 16? Was it a good path? Is it, did he lead everybody down a bad path? And then I said, no, it just needs a little tweak to it. And there's actually nothing wrong with what Bobby said. It's what's missing is people didn't realize that you are part of this. The greatest gift in the world that any of us could have ever been given is you are a grassroots who have the opportunity to become part of something that could define the American culture. and you're pissing on it. It's like, well, why is Bobby not doing this? Guys, you can't understand how important what I'm going to say is. It can't be Bobby. It can't be. It's not that it couldn't be. It can't be. Like, you don't want it to be Bobby. It's the same as when George Washington said, you got a republic if you can keep it. It's the same as when George Washington said, well, we're going to try this president thing, even though the people thought there should be a king. Listen, you can't let it be Bobby, because if it's the Bobby show, it's not the people show. And if it's not the people show, it will invite all the criticism. And you've got about a 6 to 9 month window to fix it. That's the way I look at it. Because everybody I know that's ever started a business like this, a networking type of a business, you got about 2 years before the regulators start staring down your throat. And if they eventually get here and they look at it all and they say, "Oh, this is just the Bobby Gray show," and everybody's following along, it's going to be a problem. But if they come in and they say, "Wow, look at this grassroots movement," then suddenly we created something monumental. So where I feel like we're at a critical point, and maybe just the stars aligned, God brought me to this point, whatever. I showed up with this message at this time because this is what the community needed, and here I am. So I ended up doing that video. I had no idea that literally hundreds of you were going to pass it around, and much less that, Thomas is going to be sitting here showing it. I would have just done the presentation for you, Thomas.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. If I would have put two and two together, heck, I can't even get Aaron's name right. So what the heck?
yeah,
So
well,
yeah,
that was that was the background that came into it, and some of it is my passion. Part of it's just my experience because I look at it and I just see it all. It's kind of like the Matrix to me. It's kind of like I just see all the code moving. And I was like, liquidity is the problem. I mean, there's no question. This is a simple fix. And there's two levers to throw. And Corey kind of mentioned it. You got the social media lever and you have the trading lever. You throw those two levers and we, the people, fix the problem. But what we can't do is we can't sit by and let people just sit here and spread the FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I did a video yesterday, Thomas. If you haven't seen it, it's called Stop Being a Fuddy Duddy. And honestly, I'm sick of it. I absolutely have very little patience for people going
right,
out and seeding all the negativity, and it's poison. That's what it is. And as a community, you got to realize it is pure poison.
right.
And I got people now messaging me like, "Oh, look, the price is 160 this morning." Literally, while I'm sitting here talking to you, it says it might be down 2,000% by January. You know who that guy is? It's the guy who backed out last Tuesday, and he's messaging me, taunting me now. And it
Right.
all started because of the FUD of the community. So yeah, if I get passionate, it irritates me. You guys are literally shooting yourself in the foot. Not you guys, but the community by spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Jeremy, just yesterday with your video, which triggered a lot of the conversation. I spoke of past projects. I've been in this game since 15, and I've been in projects that the second that the price goes down, that it, Discord is blowing up, and these are people that have money tied up in it, and they're the ones blowing it up to blow it down. And maybe that they're the ones that are counting on it going up and will win if it goes up, are tearing it down and enjoying conversation with people tearing it down. Guys, for one, not just with cryptocurrency, not just with Texacoin, if we want to have a big success here, we must start having the company and each other's backs way more. We got to quit trying to tear each individual down. Oh, he didn't do this on the presentation. He's the worst leader on the planet. We got to cut all that out. We got to be looking for the good, not the bad, and we got to quit worrying about what other people are doing if they're giving efforts to better the program. But the worst thing that anybody could do is engage in the conversation with somebody that's just trying to tear us down. And yes, Shar, you guys know we got to be a lifter up. But you triggered all of those memories for me. When the SEC shut us down, it was probably because and this was 2007 with the company, years and years. I mean, not 2007. 2017, years and years ago, that the SEC shut that company down for no reason, and I believe it started with the wrong chatter of the people that were involved. The people that should be lifting were tearing, and just why you got pissed off and angry. Well, there's all of us leaders are sitting back here a little pissed off and angry as well, trying to fix that. Part of the reasons why we're on this call this morning.
Well, the way we fix it is for the community to rise up and say we are a community and we're going in the same direction. And
Yes.
everybody has to realize that there's an energy to it. And evil feeds off of negative energy and good feeds off of positive energy. And you've heard the power of positive thinking. You've heard Think and Grow Rich. You've heard all these things about positivity and thinking, but it's real. It's real. I can make a new age argument for it and I can make a biblical argument for it because it's how the universe works. And
Right.
you guys got to realize that there's two pathways here. One pathway is a pathway that's full of negativity. Another pathway is a pathway that's full of positivity. And you see it in the future and you start imagining it and you say, that's what we're going to do. And as you imagine it and as you believe it, you bring that energy into this moment. If the community looks in the future and says, this thing is going to fall apart, this thing's going to collapse, this thing's going to die. Look at what's happening right now. You're looking in the future to something that has not happened, bringing that energy into this moment, living that experience, and then spreading that experience. That is how a virus spreads emotionally and energetically. And we got to stop it. Like, if you guys care about the future of this, you got to stop it. And the only way you can stop it is with gratitude. Gratitude is the energy that will offset fear. And so if you don't start with gratitude, you will let the fear take over. But gratitude is the antidote to fear. And so I just sit here and I say, well, what's great about Texit? Because here's the deal. I've already made my money back. So I'm playing with house money. Here's the deal. This pays out more than any Bitcoin mine I've looked at. I've looked at a whole bunch of them. And there's no way that I can make this same ROI for the same investment with any Bitcoin miner. So what if it's less than the $16 that I was expecting in February? First of all, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't have an expectation. That's part of it. People set an expectation. But I look at what's good, but then I really look at stories. Like I see Billy here. Billy was the first guy I put in. Billy is also responsible for me being here, and he doesn't know that. Well, he does know it now, but you guys don't know that. Erin, she presented this to me, and I started running the numbers, but the Tuesday before I talked to Erin, I'd had a lunch with Billy, and he was really discouraged, and he said, Jeremy, I'm $1,500 a month short. And he was thinking about selling his business that he'd been building for all these years to his business partner. And his business partner was giving him a buyout, but the only way his business partner could pay him was to pay him $1,500 a month. And I was like, there's got to be something different. So I left that lunch with him on that Tuesday. And I said, I'm going to go find another opportunity for Billy. And then this thing showed up with Erin. When I called Billy, he was the first guy I put in. I called Billy, said, I got to see you. I sat down with him. I showed him Texit coin. I knew he was already heavy in Bitcoin. I knew he had the reserves in Bitcoin to do it. And I just showed him, I said, look, this one move solves your $1,500. And he's here right now, and he will tell you, like, since then, we talk almost every day, but since then, his entire energy has shifted because it gave hope. What you guys have to realize is hope is an energy. And when you give people hope, you give them something to look forward to. If you come in and you give them desperation, you're giving them something to run from. And human nature, it's either going to go towards what is positive and what it wants, or it's going to run away from pain. But here's what you have to understand. Human beings will do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. That's why they won't take a risk. But all of the quality of your life is in proportion to the amount of risk or uncertainty that you learn to comfortably handle. This is the least risky project I've ever been in. I mean, if I could really impress upon you, I'm not trying to say anything to impress you, but if I can impress upon you, I have made and lost more money in a 2-week window than most of you will ever make in a year. I have made more money and lost more money than most of you will make in 3 generations of your family. And when you learn to handle that level of uncertainty, when you go from flying private airplanes and smoking more in cigars in an afternoon than most people spend on food in a month, and you go from that level to, I don't know how I'm going to literally feed my kids, much less pay my mortgage, and you go on every side of it, the level of uncertainty you learn to handle is radical. And you realize that, you know what? It's all just stuff. It's all just things and stuff. And I'm telling you, you got a good thing with Texit. So if everybody just woke up and said, I'm going to focus on all the gratitude I have, what are the great things that Texit has brought me? Look, it gave Billy life. And Billy's my friend. And when Billy has life, I have life. Look, it gave Aaron life. And look, it provided for these people. And it gave Shar life. And it gave Shar a reason to keep working when her husband was facing uncertainty. And you start going down all the great things, and you're worried about $16? It's the most immature thing I've ever seen. And honestly, I truly feel this way. If that's how you guys feel, make a list of how much money you've made and take it away from how much you spent. And collectively, Thomas and I and whoever else will buy your seats out because we don't need it. We just don't need that kind of FUD. This is a American landscape changing opportunity. Are you going to piss on it? Or are you going to support it? It's just that simple. And I'm passionate about it because I really believe it. But that's how I felt Tuesday night. And that's what led to this week. And I think if more people will realize that and we focus on it's like we just had puppies. These puppies are so cute. They have this amazing, precious life in them. And you could say, well, they're worthless. They can't walk. They can't operate without their mother. But these puppies are the very beginning of life. This business, if you looked at a business life cycle, we're at the beginning. We're past the infancy stage, but we're in that critical. It's like Addison's refers to it as the adolescent stage where it's go, go, go. And you make teenage type decisions. But are you going to steal the future from a teenager? Are you going to steal the future from a toddler because they're immature? Well, apparently some of y'all would. And I'm saying y'all, if they're here this morning, there's probably not the people that are spreading the FUD. But anyway, cut me off, Corey, please.
We're always preaching to the choir here. We know that because we're at 7 a.m. and these are people invested with us in mind, body, and spirit. But Corey, so Jeremy and Lonny, we know you guys have a couple of answers, right? And you talked about them with these other platforms. Could you guys now, let's go into some answers of some things, some practical things that we could do, kind of like you shared on the video. Because yesterday, a whole ton of people joined Pionex and got the bot running and did other things like that. But between Lonny and Jeremy, can we get to the basics of some of those answers now because see, that's what you did on that video, Jeremy. You didn't just like you just shared with us, share the passion of kind of being upset at people's negativity. You came with answers. You came with solution. And a great leader that I followed, Dick Lore, used to say, "Please don't come to me with a problem unless you have a solution." And I think everybody should remember that one. And you did that on your video. And now, Corey, back to you. I'm shutting up.
No, that's good. That's a great segue. I say less, you know. Je but Jeremy, you hit my heart, you hit my chords, and I think this is what we really need to hear right now. But I'm going to just straight pass it over to Lonny or you, Jeremy, because you do have two wonderful solutions, and they seem pretty simple to me.
Well, at the risk of pretending I'm going to steal the stage, how about I tee Lonny up? Because I think that Lonny, when I saw him putting into Telegram, the reason I reached out to him, I was like, hey, here's a guy who gets it. I saw that he understood order flow. He understood what's happening and what's not happening. When you look at the chart of text, can I share my screen? Is that something I can do? Do I have power to do that?
Yeah.
You're both co-hosted.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. And when you look at a chart here, this is in TradingView. If you guys haven't used TradingView, it's the charting that is behind coin market cap. So just go to the source. But when you look at the stair step pattern that has operated through here, this is not normal. There's only one way that this happens. And the way that this stair step happens is, I don't want to say manipulation, but it's movement. Okay. And it's what Bobby has referred to as he puts liquidity in. And I've never had the chance to sit down with him, ask him, but I think the way that he does it is he's funding a liquidity pool. And you have to understand there's a big difference in a liquidity pool and liquidity. Liquidity is when you have it's the easy with which you can get in and out of a trade. A liquidity pool is, think about it as the ocean, and it's how much water is in the container. So if you have a pond, you don't have a very big ocean, and you can throw a big rock into the pond and everything's affected. You throw a big rock into the Pacific Ocean and nothing is affected. Okay, that's a liquidity pool. And everything that Bobby has said makes me think that when he's using the term liquidity, he's thinking liquidity pool. Liquidity, as I'm thinking about it, and as Lonnie's thinking about it, is the day-to-day transactions. And what you have to understand, first of all, the reason that this big spike happened right here is because, as Bobby said, he went out and bought a couple $1 million worth of Texas coin because he decided to pay it out. Didn't have it. So he had to go in the open market and buy it. Well, when you go in the open market and you buy $2 million worth of Texas coin, this is what happens because there's not enough liquidity. And then on the backside of this, some people started selling. And when you have a bunch of people that are selling on the open market and there's not enough liquidity, this is what happens. We have an average daily volume of less than 1 million a day. If we're going to sustain a $200 million market cap, which is what it was a month ago, you've got to have about 10 to $20 million a day in constant liquidity, constant volume. And so I saw that as a problem. I realized Lonnie saw it as a problem. And that's where this conversation started from. What Pionex can do is it has these bots that run. And by putting money into a bot and letting it run, it can actually create liquidity for us. Now, I've gone down this road a long way. I was actually up till almost 4 o'clock this morning. I couldn't sleep. I was thinking about how can we create more liquidity. But this is a major, major issue. And I'm going to finish on these two thoughts here and let Lonnie take over. The two ways you create buying pressure. Number one is you just have constant trading pressure. If we had 500 to 1,000 of us with a $500 bot just running constantly, we naturally create liquidity. It's just doing it for us. So somebody's talking back there is really loud. I don't think they know they're unmuted, but anyway, if we had that kind of liquidity, this crash wouldn't have happened. But the reason it happens is because there's no buyers there to soak up the liquidity. I don't think the market makers, I'm not sure what the market makers are doing, but they should be absorbing a bunch of liquidity. They're not. So I don't know if they don't have enough money to do that with it or if they're not active enough. There's a lot of questions I don't have the answers to, but I can just tell you what has to happen. We need more buyers. And if we have buying pressure, you can soak up liquidity. So that's one way that we do it. The other way is we generate buyers by going out and spreading it through social media. And so those are the two levers that I'm looking at throwing to see how we can do this. Shilling it. That's the way that we do it, Corey. So with that said, what I really appreciate about Lonnie, we both have different backgrounds, but one of the things that he, I guess, loves to do, I say he loves it. I don't know. I never asked him. But he likes to talk a lot about the platform. So I think that he should do that. Let him be the platform guy. And with that said, Lonnie, why don't you tell him what Pionex can do and how it fills all that stuff that we just talked about?
Take it away. And you both are co-hosted, so you should be able to do whatever you want with share screen.
I'll stop sharing.
Oh yeah, you're good. No, that's fine. Go ahead and share your screen. I'm having some speaker issues, so I'm on my phone, so I won't be able to share my screen. But I can at least walk you down everything Jeremy said. Right on the money. I'm going to echo that. And when with that lack of liquidity and the kind of mechanical pattern that you saw in the beginning was because there was so few actions and few trades going on in the market. And it was because of a limited access. We only had Dex Trade and Bitmart since January. And while the main mantra is 100% that, you got to build the project, you got to build the mine because that is the value. But the only way to have a value is there has to be a market price set. So the market has to be there. And what those liquidity pools or the liquidity grab and injection that Bobby's doing is because so TXE is a proof of work coin that has to be mined, but it started with 0. So all of the coins are mined and they all go to the cold storage wallets off network, no market value, unless you want to put a computer price on them and just throw a dollar at them. There's no value established until somebody buys it. So to entice people to bring them out of their cold storage wallets, Bobby had to put a liquidity injection, basically a price point that he put to entice people to sell and establish that price. So, a lot of people are chanting and crying that we need to stop selling, and that's not true. The selling is healthy. The selling is good. One, it's passing down from the people who got in early and made their 500 times or whatever, but it's allowing the market to establish that circulation. the coins are mined and they go off market. We need to get them on market and create that value so that they're able to be bought and consistent. And I like Pi and X specifically, and so it's cool that you guys brought this up, is because it does offer that bot trading built into the platform. And this is what all the institutions are using. They're not sitting, they don't have a million um, you know, trade guys sitting on their computer making a million trades a second. They're all bots. And what that allows it to happen is to make the fractional trades, the smaller trades, and fill in all the gaps in the price instead of, the human brain buy for $1, sell for $2. Well, how do you get from $1 to $2 if you don't fill in all the gaps in the middle? So by setting up a bot, plus, I don't know how about everybody, but not everybody's sitting at their computer trying to watch the price and make the trade and be active. And, sometimes it can be kind of cumbersome and take a little bit of time. So jump on and you can literally just throw $10 to $100 in on the bot and let it make all the trades for you. It's not going to sell at losses and lose all your money. It's gonna be active and seek the algorithms to create profit for you. So that's where I jumped on with Pi and X, and then it's a US friendly exchange. And TXC's US crypto mined in the USA. So, being focused on these exchanges that are out of Thailand or such, don't have enough action of the outside liquidity. If we're only going to be dependent on the liquidity from the mining cells, we're going to be limited in the amount of liquidity that we have. And anytime that there's an order, it's going to drastically affect the price. I would argue that we haven't had any difference in selling pressure. I mean, there's probably obviously an increase at the $5, but for the majority of the time, the amount of selling is the same. What we're lacking is just the buying. And it's because whether it be people aren't familiar with it or if people are uncertain of it, certain of making the order, thinking that they're going to buy at the wrong time and then it's going to go down and they're going to lose money. The bot will do it for you, and the bot's not designed to lose money. So I think that's a good one to do. And like Jeremy said, that consistent order flow and the consistent volume is what triggers, Coin Market Cap and the bigger exchanges to be like, hey, those guys are real. It's not just the founder throwing some money at 10 traders. Now there's 50,000 people trading this. There's 50,000 active accounts. That's a real project. It's not just three guys playing hot potato with a couple coins. So yeah, I mean, for jumping on, you got to kind of on ramp the money, and it's a lot of people are going to say that the difficulties are still kind of high, and it's a pain in the butt, but it's getting easier as we're getting on these bigger exchanges. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, Lonnie. I want to share one thing that you almost said that I think maybe this group needs to hear, because you can take this to your team. What you have to understand is there is no transaction that takes place until there's a buyer and a seller. If you see somebody and you say, why is somebody selling? It's because, let me say that differently. If you see the price going down and you say, why is the price going down and why are people selling? You have to realize that price only got printed on the chart and only got printed on the ticker tape because a transaction took place. And if you want, I can talk a little bit about this market mechanic. I don't know which direction you guys want to go, but basically the way that markets work is the market maker has to go out there and find a buyer and a seller and match the market. That's what market makers do. They make a liquidity to the market. Crypto is a little bit different than stock because half the market makers are automated bots. They're literally automated market makers. All the DEXs are automated market makers. And so, the way that it's operating is basically finding buyers and sellers. That's it. And if you've got a bunch of sellers that are wanting to sell at 5 and there's no buyers, what's the market maker have to do? They have to drop the price. They have to drop their bid and their ask until they find buying pressure. And if there's no buying pressure until $2, then the market maker says, okay, well, I got a buyer here at 2. I got a seller here at 5. Who's willing to compromise? And as they start dropping the price, you actually entice a lot more selling because people start freaking out. And this is all the emotional part of it. But once you guys understand how it's working, you don't sit here and say, I can't believe there's sellers. There has to be sellers and there has to be buyers. It's how we create a liquid market. So if we want to be in an environment where people take this thing seriously, you want to be in an environment where people say, hey, this is a real coin, it's got to be publicly traded. And if it's going to be publicly traded, you got to play by the rules of how publicly traded assets work. And so I think there's a big opportunity here, Thomas. You know your community better than I do. You tell us, what you want to talk about. But I think it's a big opportunity to kind of just educate on how markets work so people don't freak out when markets do what markets have to do. It's
Run
kind of
with
like
it.
saying,
Run with it.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like saying, if a baby craps its pants, you don't get mad at the baby. Why? Because that's what babies do. If a adult craps their pants, you say, we got a problem here. You're in a different phase. Okay. And when we move from the phase of we're starting off, nobody knows this exists, and the only way for this thing to have any value is for Bobby to pump money into a liquidity pool. When you go from that phase over to the real market knows we exist, we're now listed on 9 exchanges, which frankly, we don't have the volume to support. When you go from that phase to this phase, you have an entirely different mindset. Everything starts to change. And so if we're going to go to that phase, the conversation has to start is we have to have the conversation. What does a publicly traded asset look like? What's it take to make a publicly traded asset liquid? How do we make sure that pump and dumps don't happen? Well, you don't, other than you don't pump it. But nobody's pumping and dumping. This is literally just people saying I needed to sell and there was no market. There was no liquidity. And if there's no liquidity, the price tanks. It's that simple. So a lot of this would have been taken care of if we just had more buying pressure, but nobody knows it exists. With I think yesterday was 600,000 in volume. If there's only 600,000 in volume, nobody knows it exists. And so it's not gonna be liquid. Let's see, where was that?
587 was yesterday's dollar value.
Yeah. I mean, there's no volume. You can see in here, guys, look how small this is. Two plus or minus 2% on the MEXC, a $500 trade can move the liquidity pool $500. Sorry, excuse me. A $500 trade can move it 2%. That's how shallow the liquidity is. A $500 trade should have zero impact, but it moves at 2%. That's absurd. And the only solution to that is to create liquidity.
Yeah, that depth, the plus or minus 2% being so small is exactly why, there's not a huge panic. We're looking at this going down so fast because, like you're saying, there's no buying. But if we just flipped on the buying, it would go up just as fast, if not faster, because the sellers don't want to sell at $2. They don't want to sell at $1. They'd much rather sell at $5. The problem is that we don't have buyers until $1.50. Everybody's, looking for the bargain. So it wouldn't take much to get action. I kind of preach, and then even like it doesn't take a big dollar. You don't have to set up $1,000 account. One of the things that I've been preaching, and I think Jeremy kind of said the same thing earlier, was, 50,000 people with $25 is a lot more powerful than 50 people with $1,000.
And churning trades is a lot more powerful. You don't have to be a day trader sitting here at your computer placing trades. If you have the bots operating for you, let me see if I can find the answer. Mine ended up stopping moving, Lonnie, because the market dropped so much. So it got me on the range and it stops. There's a lot of boundaries in here, but I think I'm just trying to look and see what I've got here. It looks like the transactions that it has placed in the last week, over 500 trades. I have not executed any of those. I set it up once. 524 trades. That creates liquidity. So if we had, 1,000 of the 50,000 miners that just had a $500 trading account set up with a bot, churning trades, we become the market liquidity. And I actually think, Thomas, we should probably talk offline on this. I think there's some incentives. I have some ideas for some incentives that Texas Coin Corporate, if you will, could offer, but I don't want to say that publicly. So let's just talk separately about that, because I think if we can teach people how trading works and we can teach people how liquidity works, they'll realize that they are the solution. And that's what I want to say to everybody who's listening. You are the answer. You are the answer in how you share it on social media, because you going out and sharing it on social media, if you go out and you make it look like you're selling an MLM, nobody's going to pay attention. They're just going to look at you like you're selling a weird alternative soap. But if you go out and you tell people what this project is, and you go out and you shill Texit Coin, understand this project, understand how unique it is, what a great opportunity is, and get out there on Twitter, specifically on Twitter and X, excuse me, Twix. X, formerly known as Twitter. If you guys get out there on X and you make the stink, this is where you're going to get more momentum. That's the hub for crypto. Okay, and we get people buying. We get people aware of it. So that's one way that you can create buying pressure. The other way is to run some of these bots. You can go buy. I've heard a lot of people say, "Hey, what if I just go buy 1,000? What if I go buy a couple thousand? I'm sitting on 10 grand. What if I go buy, a few coins?" Like that's fine, but if you just stick it in your wallet and you do nothing with it, it actually does nothing for this problem. Liquidity is the flow of funds back and forth, and we have to have liquidity. Thomas, where do you want me to go? I can go a lot of different directions. So why don't you team me up with what you're hearing? And I'm not reading the chat.
Now let's see about Corey. Corey, I know that you were playing around a lot with Pionex yesterday, and maybe you have a thought or two.
Yeah, what I was thinking, several different things, but definitely in the direction of Pionex. And I know we've got quite a few people on here that have loaded some money onto their Pionex accounts. And either, I don't know if I know Lonnie can't share a screen, but maybe we could either bring somebody on to walk them through setting up a bot, or we can, I know we're like at an hour now, so we could either save that for and Lonnie I know has some YouTube videos on doing it as well.
Yeah, I got a couple
Um,
YouTube videos that I already have up, and I'll walk anybody through it that wants to do it. Because as I said, I'm pretty familiar with the platform. I wouldn't mind sharing if somebody wants to
I'm
walk through it and
happy to
share their
do
screen.
that.
Yeah, go ahead.
awesome. Sarah, can you share your Pionex screen?
I don't have it up.
Oh, well, can
Why don't you let somebody do it that already has it set up then?
is Darmesh here?
He
Or
is, he is. I just let him in a little bit ago.
yeah, I helped Darmesh. There he is. What's up, Darmesh? I don't know if you're able to.
Is it better to set this up on a computer or your phone?
You can do it on your phone. It's a lot more simplified. There's when you're on your computer, you really see all the options and everything, but on your phone it's very simple. So Pionex, when you go over to their bot tab, it'll bring up, grid trading bot, martingale, rebalancing, all these other different.
My favorite food is dead people.
Oh.
I'll have all these different bots that do different things, and they're just built in order to execute in a certain pattern. The most simple one that we're kind of looking for is the grid trading bot one. That one's just making trades and not doing anything really crazy. When you bring it up, it's going to highlight the AI strategy over a 7-day or infinity grid. You can do that. What Pionex has built in is it uses ChatGPT and DeepSeek to analyze the chart, and based on what the chart's been doing the last 7 days or the last 30 days, is it comes up with some parameters that it thinks is going to be ideal. You could click on that to get an idea. What I've noticed with the AI is it always suggests the most grids. And all the grids is basically orders. Like whenever you're looking at the order book, every one of those different prices that has little fractional amounts and it goes up in a fractional price range. If you think of those as grids are orders. So when you're doing a grid bot and you do 20 grids, there are 10, and it kind of depends on which ratio it breaks it down, but typically think of it as like there's 15 buys and 5 sells. And then as it rotates up the price, it'll rotate that ratio to buys and sells depending which way the price is going, so that you kind of buy in slowly without spiking the price, and then you sell and take profits as it walks up. And then, so that's what a grid is. So when you're setting it up, if you pick the grid trading bot, you can do the copy strategy, and that'll just imitate what the AI is suggesting. But essentially all you're looking for is the lower limit, upper limit, and you're setting the price range that like Jeremy said, where if it goes below that, the bot will stop. And so, like, as you're looking at it, you're like, well, if the price flash dropped like it did yesterday, where on a couple exchanges the price fell to 70 cents, you don't, you might not want your bot trading at that, because then it'll get stuck buying and selling at that range, and it might cause you to be at a big loss if it suddenly spikes back up. So to avoid the flash, those big crazy moves, set it in a comfortable range, like $1, $2 at the bottom, based on where we're at right now. A dollar 50 is probably your lower limit. And then the upper limit, you might think like, oh, well, set it for 16 because I want this to trade till it's 16. But on the same regards, if the price flashes up too high, your bot might catch one of those wicks and then get stuck holding, $10 coins while the price comes back down to 7, and then your bot's inactive. So setting your upper limit to a realistic price, whether it's 5 or 4 or 6, kind of depends what you're wanting it to do. But that will, if the price goes above it, the bot just pauses, and then you come back and restart it depending on where the price range is. So then you set your parameters. And then on the grids, it suggests 2 to 500 is what you're allowed to do. If you do more grids, you have to give it more funds. So if you're coming in and you only want to do $20 or $40, you're probably going to have to do a smaller grid count. And then it's going to trade based on that to get more profit per trade, but you're going to get less trades. If you go in and you set up 50 or 100 grids, like Jeremy said, you're going to have a high transaction count and it's going to be moving a lot, but you have to give it more money or funds to start, because it has to spread that order across a bigger grid spread. The cool thing about the higher grid spread is, even though you're not getting as much profit per transaction, when that thing's active, and Jeremy probably might have the number. I don't know if he wrote it down or saw, but 500 transactions, I bet he accumulated 5 extra coins over that time, because as it bought 1 coin and then sold it for 1 point, and then sold it, and then it came back down, bought back again, he probably had 1.2 coins. And then it goes up and down like that. So you're accumulating constantly. So even though you're looking at, oh, I'm only making 1% per trade, but after what is it, 19 trades, it probably almost doubled to a whole extra share or something, or nine trades, it would have accumulated a whole extra coin. So if you want to talk to people who are like upset with the low coin distribution, a bot could make 9 or 19 trades and would almost accumulate you a whole extra coin of the daily reward, while you're sitting there earning more on the bot trading than you did on your daily mining reward.
Beautiful. Hey, I did wonder something. I'm going to kind of put you guys on the spot, and I hope I'm not stepping on any toes. But could we next week get you on when you can share screen and show people? I know you're having technical difficulties today, but do you think next week you could kind of walk through some of the basics with people on Pionex or something, or would you just suggest them going to your videos?
Well, you could watch the videos, but 100%, I could get this fixed. I could get this fixed in an hour or two. Of course, I probably just got to run down and get a new wire or a new speaker, and I should be able to get that fixed. So I could do it today. I could do it next week. I could do whatever. Or
So we have an opening on Tuesday.
yeah, sure, book it, book it.
So same time, same bat channel, and Jeremy, maybe you two can tag team on that and join in. But and then Aaron, if you're free, I know that you're in your busy time. I want because Aaron's been promoting Jeremy all this time for his knowledge and stuff, and I don't want to jump past that. But we've been doing this 4 days a week for a long time, for a couple months now, and so we're doing it, committed to do this till the end of the year. So anytime anybody can add in, we'd appreciate it. And if it doesn't fit in your guys' schedule, then we'll just grab your videos. But would Tuesday be okay for you, Lonnie and Jeremy, or is that a bad day for you, or one of you, or both of you, or whatever? And we make the main subject Pionex and trading
Sure.
and the
Yeah.
bots.
Tuesday works. I'll make sure I got some fun set up. I already have 9 bots going right now myself. And yeah, I'll walk through, show you guys what I got going on. And if anybody has any questions on a walkthrough, I have no problem doing that. And I'll even touch on some of the other bots that are there, and we could do a little deep dive on Pinex. But it would be cool to see, that U.S. exchange be on the top list versus, Bitmart or Dextrade, and get some real activity on one of these bigger exchanges.
Well, and I think we spread the word, and everybody gets excited about Tuesday. We'd love to have you guys, and this goes for any leader. Anybody that has something on get. See, we got a bunch of novices here, right? So we need some of that. We need some Tommy knows nothing stuff, and if Tommy can build this business, anybody can, right? We need a little bit of that. We need a little bit of Corey's experience. We need a lot of Jeremy's experience. We need a lot of Aaron's experience. We need a lot of Char's loving, whatever the case may be. But if we could let you two kind of tell people what is the importance of what you're going to cover and whatnot. Corey, if it's okay with you, I'm going to let Jeremy and Lonnie give us some wisdom for the best things that we could do over this weekend. Because tomorrow, wait, let me do something real quick. Tomorrow, Jeffrey Marston is going to teach on Canadian platforms and come from a different spin from the Canadian aspect. So I know that's right up Aaron's alley as well. But Jeffrey Marston has some plans for us tomorrow for crypto independence and Canadian platforms. So get ready on here. He's a very dynamic teacher. And that's why I had to jump you guys to Tuesday since we're all filled up this week. But Tuesday through Friday, we do this. And you guys, please reach out to me or Corey or Aaron or whoever and say, hey, this is something we need to do. But Jeremy and Lonnie, if you were to tell anybody over the next 4 days what they could do until Tuesday, could you guys kind of end us out with that heartbeat, right? Does that sound good, Corey?
No, absolutely. And I just wanted to add real quick, Thomas, and Jeremy might mention it. Jeremy does have a Telegram group going, and I think it would be very amazing, Jeremy, for people to be able to join that who want to participate in the helping of social media specifically, but to be a part of that grassroots movement. So maybe in your closing, if you can mention the best way to get in there.
Yeah, Thomas, I can't be here Tuesday. My son's having a birthday. I'm taking him on a fishing trip. And if I show up and do this, I will get the worst dad of the year award.
We're not going to let that happen.
Tuesday I can't be here, but later in the week I can, and I'll be more than happy to contribute. I had one thing I wanted to point out, and Lonnie and I have not coordinated on this conversation. The bots are not always profitable. In fact, my bot is very negative right now because of all the selling. The way that a grid bot works is it's designed to profit within a trading range. And if you get into a trend, it actually really hurts the bot. So you do need to play with money that you could afford to lose. Don't think that, I'm always going to be earning coins. I was earning coins really regularly with this bot until the last couple of days. Do I look concerned? No. But I do want to set expectations, because one of the things that I've learned is, if people don't have clear expectations, then when they get burned a little bit, they get really upset. You got to see how the market works. I mean, the market is always fluctuating back and forth. And if I could give you some advice going into the weekend, I would say, honestly, it's going to sound almost counterintuitive. Step away from it. If I could give you one thing for this weekend, the first thing I would say, if I was coaching any of you one-on-one, I would say step away. Don't look at it so close. Don't look at the price. Don't look at the chart. Don't look at the trend. go somewhere to your happy place and start making a list. And the list I would start with is not who you can sell it to, not who you can go make a presentation to. I would start with a list of everything you're grateful for about Texas Coin and why you think this is the greatest thing in the world. And I would truly just feel real gratitude in your heart. And then I would also, the next thing I would coach any of you on, if you were my private client, I would say, okay, now ask yourself, where else is this fear and uncertainty and doubt creeping up in my life? Where's all the criticism coming? Because it's a mirror. If it's showing up with your trades, it's showing up somewhere else in your life. And you need to cut that out. Because the sooner you cut that out, the sooner the entire environment changes. You'll be amazed if you get in line with gratitude, you get in line with, get your energy source all tuned, like between you and God, straight here, pure gratitude. God, I'm so thankful for the life you've given me. I'm so thankful for this heart that continues to beat, or I'm thankful for this replacement heart that continues to beat, or whatever it is that you're grateful for. I'm so grateful for Thomas doing these shows every morning at like 4 a.m. somewhere, that we can be there and we can learn from people. I'm so grateful that Jeremy showed up and shared his knowledge and we didn't know he was there. So grateful for all of this stuff. I'm so grateful that Bobby decided to make this a crowd-funded grassroots movement instead of private equity. I'm so grateful for the longer your list of gratitude, the harder it is to be complaining. And then once you clear out that, now you've set the state. Because you have to understand there's three things that change everything. I don't think I have time to go into that. That's what I would do. You tell me, Thomas, I'll just keep coaching forever. So you just tell me to shut up.
No, absolutely love it. What does Tuesday look like for you? I mean,
Tuesday
Wednesday.
Got a birthday on Tuesday.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
leaving
got a
Monday.
birthday
I
on
think
Tuesday.
we're coming back either Wednesday night or Thursday. So I should probably look at Friday.
How about Friday of next week?
Friday, I think we can do Friday. Yeah.
Okay, and I know that I think that Aaron's off on Fridays too. So Aaron, give me or maybe we can do a three-way call or whatever, and maybe you can run the show there. Okay, so I want to make sure that everybody is in their place, getting all the because we're grateful for you all, and I want to make sure that whoever wants to be participating is participating. And Lonnie, you're good with Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I'm good with Tuesday, and I just want to echo Jeremy. Thanks for saving me on that. Just because you set up a bot, 100%, you're not just going to instantly make money. Nobody can make money when the price is going down unless you're short selling, and that's a whole nother topic that we're not even going to touch on. But at least the accumulation and the activity will be most profitable once the price recovers. So yeah, good catch on that, Jeremy. I almost shot myself in the foot. No instant profits guaranteed.
I just didn't want you to become the new villain.
Yeah, I almost did. I almost did. But I guess what I would say for the weekend goal, kind of saying, don't jump off a cliff yet. The price really only matters today if you're selling today. So if your vision was to stay here until the mine is built, the price today doesn't matter. And I think that's what Bobby's been echoing and trying to instill in everybody is to not panic at today if you weren't planning on selling today. The mine is not even built yet. So the price really doesn't matter today unless you're ready to go, if you're selling out to go buy a house. But if you are, sitting there like, nope, this is a time that I want to spearhead this and do something. The two biggest things that TXC is lacking on the community side is the social media that Jeremy's driving, and then the activity across more wallets on the bigger exchanges. Everybody got in a DEX trade because that was the first one. And but that's a tier 3 exchange. It's a lower exchange that's not giving enough data to CoinMarketCap. So then when somebody comes in that's curious about it and goes to CoinMarketCap, they don't have good data. CoinMarketCap's only giving, WTXC data because it doesn't have enough reported data. So the Bitmart, the MEXC, Pionex, Biconomy, XT, WeX, all of those ones are tier 2 and report their data more frequently to CoinMarketCap. So obviously you don't need to like sell off and jump off DEX trade and run away because there is a benefit to being there. But if you could at least split some of that or bring some of that to one of the tier 2 exchanges, and then make sure you're on the socials. If the Texacoin verified pages on Facebook make a post, make sure you at least like them. if the ex is making a post, make sure you at least like it. And because if they're not getting any engagement or interaction, it's going to look like it's Bobby and his boy band is the ones, following his own thing and making it all up. So to make it really look grassroots and authentic, it's got to have the whole community on it. So jump on the socials and at least throw a like on every single post would be something I think would be a huge boost to what could happen, in the short term.
Awesome. Corey, give us some love and get us out of here for the day.
Oh man, what a beautiful thing. Thank you guys for joining Jeremy and Lonnie. Looking forward to the next one
Have a good
and thank
day,
you.
bud. I'll see you.
You have to
You too,
five.
Sarah.
You too,
Damn
Sarah.
it.
I'll see you at 2.
Um, Jeremy, just wanted to end. Cool, you dropped the link. I'll put that in our WhatsApp as well, guys, just in case you miss it. But full of gratitude. That is always the best way to be going into the weekend, going into bed, getting out of bed, whatever it is. Lead every day, lead with love and light and gratitude, and watch what follows. So thank you guys so much. Everybody, enjoy your day. I will probably hop on and I'll be around if anybody wants to do some Pionex stuff and do some bots and stuff. But thank you, Thomas, and thank you again, Aaron and Sharp. Really
Corey,
appreciate you guys.
Corey.
Hi, Coach.
Hey, just a quick shout out. Thank you guys for putting this together. And again, tonight we're doing a coaching session. We're going to feature you and Thomas and some other Rangers that are going to talk about the other side, the business building, on our coaching session tonight. So that'll be in there, but it's going to be pretty neat because we're going to have about a half a dozen or more Rangers that are going to share their insight and wisdom on how to invite people to look at Texas Coin. So I'm real excited about that.
Amazing. Thanks for the reminder, Coach. That yes, tonight's going to be exciting, guys. Thomas, back to
He'll
you.
post all of that again today for us, or Andrea will, or somebody will, and then we'll get the recording out of this today. And Corey, thanks for putting this together. That was some great initiative yesterday. And then again, much gratitude to this community. Gratitude's the word of the day. Let's keep that rolling. And thank you for bringing that out, Jeremy. Um, uh, Corey, last words, and I'm going to stop recording.
All right, guys, enjoy your beautiful day. Make it magical. Make it happen. It's up to you.